Right, hello and welcome to all the listeners. Richard Gow here. So today I want to talk about this idea of lessons, right? Because I honestly believe, and it's been proven time and time again in my life, that you only really learn lessons when you're ready to learn them, right? As human beings, I feel like we're doomed to repeat the same lesson until we learn it, until something clicks in our brain, until we have a conversation that the penny drops and we go, oh man, okay, I get it. Oh, like the cycle has been repeating and repeating and repeating, and it's been, building up so much frustration within me, and I get it now. And that's part of the problem, right? Is when we're really struggling to learn a lesson, we keep fighting it. We keep, trying to figure out why we're not getting it. And we put so much pressure on ourselves. We put ourselves in such, a crazy frenzy trying to figure it out. And that's honestly, it's in conflict of what you actually should be doing. You should be loving yourself through it. You should be accepting. You should be trying to at least, just be calm about it. Because the thing is, unfortunately, at the end of the day, the lessons that we're going to learn them one way or another. It obviously depends on how long we take to learn them. But if we're putting ourselves under so much pressure to, I have to learn, you're never going to really figure it out, because your brain is not going to be in the moment, right? You're going to be somewhere else. You're either going to be in the past trying to figure out what you did wrong yesterday, or you're going to be in the future trying to figure out, what am I doing today that's going to mess up tomorrow? And it's not actually going to allow you to be where you are right now. So learning those lessons will just become that much harder. And I think that there's some comfort in hearing those words said by someone else. I mean, I remember a conversation that I had when I was super young. I think it was like my first year out of university. I did this job down in Nelspruit, and it was at the end of the evening. We'd finished the job, and I just got talking to this random stranger, and it's amazing how many epiphanies and how many pennies drop at the end of the evening when everyone's tired, when all the guards are let down, and you can just honestly and genuinely have a conversation with a total stranger that you probably won't ever see again, so you're pretty safe saying the things that you actually want to say. So you go for it, and you're like, well, I accept whatever comes my way, whatever judgment and all of that, because, that's the nature of the moment. And I engaged in this conversation with a gent that was older than me, and it was amazing. It was enlightening, and a couple of pennies dropped within my brain, because I'd always felt like I was, an old soul. So it just felt really cool to talk to someone that had so much more life experience than me, and in some ways understand where I was at, and in other ways, give me advice of how to move forward. And I had a couple of pennies drop in that moment that I was battling some of the demons within my head and in my heart, and something just lifted that night. And I think the only way that was actually able to happen was because I was there. I wasn't trying to be somewhere else. So much of my life I've spent in the past, regretting decisions that I have made and wishing I had done and handled things in a completely different way. And I lost out on so much time. But in that specific moment, I was just there. I was there for the conversation. I was there for wherever it led. I was happy to open up to a complete stranger who to be honest, I don't even remember his name. I wouldn't be able to pick him out in a line out, but it did have a profound effect on me. And it was something that I only really, the penny actually really dropped for me a couple of years ago when I heard, I don't know if it's a quote or whatever, anyways, I heard that someone told me, and I can't remember who, I'm having one of those days, but anyways, what they said is, be yourself. By being yourself, you give someone else intrinsically the permission to be themselves around you, because you don't have any facades up. You don't have any walls up. You're just authentically you. And if you are just you, everyone else is comfortable around you, comfortable enough that they can just be themselves. And isn't that like the lesson, the gift that we, should give ourselves, is just to be ourselves, to be in the moment, and to accept that we're going to learn the lessons when we learn them. There's no point putting so much pressure on yourselves to say, oh, I should have done this now, I should have done this then. Because most of the time when you say that, you're looking back in hindsight, and hindsight is 20/20. So you can look back and you can analyze and you can say, man, I should have done that. But I think the problem there is that it's quite inviting to take a jab at yourself, and that's never helped anyone. To be so hard on yourself, to allow that self-saboteur to, come up behind you and grab you in a chokehold and literally choke you to death. There's no point. But if you celebrate the idea that life is a journey, that everything you do, you're going to learn as you learn it, I just think that there's so much more room for happiness. And in that happiness, you can just be yourself. And you don't have to find faults in other people, because you've made peace with the faults and the demons that live inside of you. And I think that's where true peace and, accepting yourself really, really comes into play, is when you accept the light and the dark, the light and the shade. Life is, as I believe it, it's not black and white. It's all the gray scale and every other color in the rainbow in between. And I'll reiterate what one of my friends down in Cape Town said to me is like, you want to open your crayon box and you want to see all the colors in there one day. You don't just want to see, a couple of reds and a couple of browns and maybe a couple of blacks, because that's not really going to paint you or, create your masterpiece. Masterpiece happens with colors and vibrance, and that's what you want your life to be. That's what I want my life to be. And on that, have a beautiful morning. And if it's evening, have a beautiful evening.